Hello everybody and welcome back to another Windows First Look video. Now today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Windows 10 Creators Update. I'm going to be telling you guys all of the new features in this brand new update. I want to be sharing some of my thoughts with you guys and kind of telling you guys what you can expect from this update if you are planning on being one of the first people to actually upgrade to it. As the name might suggest that it is a update specifically tailored for creators. There are a lot of things in this update that will appeal to everyday users. And if you want to be one of the first people to get this update, you can do this right now if you are running a previous version of Windows 10. All you have to do is go into your settings app here, and you'll notice this little text box that says, "Good news, the Windows 10 Creators Update is on its way. Want to be one of the first ones to get it?" And you have this little text box here that says, "Yes, show me how." It's actually a link, and if you click on this, it will take you to this site right here, and it just basically walks you through the whole actual download process on downloading the Windows 10 Upgrade Advisor, which is basically, from what that I saw, it's basically the same tool that was used, or at least it's a similar tool to what was used in the initial, when Windows 10 first came out back in July 2015, where it would, like when you would download this onto a Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 PC, and it would tell you if you meet the minimum system requirements, and it would kind of walk you through the whole process. It's kind of the same deal there. And it just makes it pretty easy for people who want to upgrade to Windows 10. So if you want to be one of the first people to get this update, you can do so. But if you don't, you're probably going to be getting it eventually, as Microsoft is going to be pushing this out to Windows 10 PCs in the next couple of months. I, on my main computer, have not gotten this update yet, but they have said that they will be pushing this out. And kind of the way that Windows 10 works, where it like auto downloads and installs updates, it will be doing that with this. So you will be getting this on your computer, I guess whether that you like it or not. So I guess you might as well get used to all these new features. So anyway, let's just jump into a couple of the new things. I'm going to be telling you guys some of the things that I like, some of the things that I don't like with this new update. So one of the first things is privacy. So Microsoft has actually begun to disclose a little bit about what data they actually are collecting from Windows 10 PCs, and they're attempting to kind of show people that they do care a little bit about your privacy. Whether they actually do is kind of debatable at this point, but they are trying to make these settings a little bit more accessible. As when you first upgrade to the Windows 10 Creators Update, when you go through the whole update process, when your PC first boots back up, the first screen they're going to be presented with is this screen right here, which allows you to turn off a lot of these auto data collecting settings. In all previous Windows 10 updates, this screen looked like this, where it said "Get going fast" up here. There was this big button at the bottom that says "Use Express Settings," and most people, when they were upgrading to Windows 10, they didn't really read this because Microsoft didn't really make it clear what all of these settings were going to do, what it was going to enable by default. So when you would click on "Use Express Settings," it would enable all of these data collecting things, and most people obviously didn't really like that, and they had to go and turn those off manually in the settings app. Well, now they're kind of making a couple of those things a little bit more I guess user friendly to kind of turn off, and it's nice that they do it right. It's the first thing that you see when you first boot up, or I guess restart your computer right after this whole update. It's the first thing that shows up. So they're kind of being upfront about it, and apparently they've also posted some things online, and they've kind of gone into more detail about what data that they are actually collecting from Windows 10 PCs, as they have gotten a lot of bad rap about that. One of the other things you will notice, and this is one of the things that I personally don't like, is if you kind of speed by this as well, you might not notice this, but there is this screen during the Windows 10 Creators Update setup process that attempts to reset your default applications. So like your web browser, your email client, your music and video players, all of that. It attempts to reset those back to the Microsoft recommended default. So that means you'll have Edge as your default browser, the Mail app as your default mail client, and the Movies and TV app as your default video player, among a couple of other ones. And if you don't notice this little tiny text in the bottom left corner that says let me choose my default apps, and if you click that and uncheck all of these, and you just like kind of speed by this, as I tend to do and as a lot of people tend to do, your apps will be reset, which isn't really a huge thing, but it's something that I can see being annoyance for a lot of people. I would be pretty annoyed if my apps kind of got reset. But so just if you're going through this process, be prepared for, to not just like kind of speed through the like initial setup process. You kind of want to just read everything, make sure that it's not going to just like, kind of reset all your settings back to the Microsoft recommended default. So that was one of the things that I didn't really like, that they kind of attempted to do that. But now let's actually get into a couple of the cool features in the Windows 10 Creators Update, starting with the brand new Paint 3D program. So this is where that I definitely think that the update actually gets its name, because this is definitely a feature that is more tailored towards creators. So we're going to launch the Paint 3D program right here. And you can think of this as a basic 3D modeling application. It's kind of interesting the way that it works. We'll just, make like a new document here, and I'll kind of make this a little bit larger. But so you can basically go in and kind of draw. So let's like say that I want to draw this out here. It's basically a 3D version of the original MS Paint with a lot of new added features. I've heard a lot of people saying that, this is something really cool and has a lot of potential, and I've heard a lot of people saying that it's, just like a new gimmicky feature that Microsoft has added. Either way, I'm kind of excited to see what people end up doing with this. This is definitely something that I think is pretty cool. And, yeah, it's, as you can see, it is a 3D, totally 3D version of the MS Paint program. And rather than just making your own 3D models, you can also go in and add other people's from, I believe it's called, Remix 3D here. You can go in here, and this is a site, I believe this is hosted by Microsoft, where you can go in and kind of browse other people's creations and kind of load them in and add to them. And you can obviously post your own creations to this website. So it's basically a like nice little community here based around this app. And if you are wondering, yes, the old MS Paint is still here, pretty much unchanged since Windows 7. However, if you notice, there is this little button up here added, Open Paint 3D. So they've added a nice little shortcut in here to open the Paint 3D application, and if you click that, as you see, it opens Paint 3D right up. So that is pretty nice. So they haven't taken out the old I guess classic MS Paint program. That is still in here in all of its glory. So next up, we're going to get into, and some of you guys may have seen this, but Start Menu Folders. Start Menu Folders is, I think, a really nice addition to Windows 10. I think people who actually use the modern UI Start Menu and kind of manage all their applications in here, and definitely for people who use touch-enabled devices, are going to really enjoy. I personally don't really use the modern UI Start Menu. I really don't care about it, so I'm not really going to use this feature. But for people who like actually use this and they have all their apps in here, as I was saying. So how you actually create a folder is very simple. It can be a little bit buggy sometimes, but you just have to drag one app on top of the other one. The apps, as you can see, they kind of like to jump around, but once you get it, you just let go of the mouse button, and there you go. You have created a new folder. And as far as I'm aware, you currently cannot actually rename the folders. So like if you want to call this one like for social apps, because I have Facebook and Twitter in here, you can, however, resize them. So this one is, as you can see, very small, but the app icons in here are the regular size. But if I want to make this one like a super large folder that could hold a ton of apps in here, I could do that as well. I'm not sure if there's a app limit either, like as to how many apps you could fit inside of a folder. But there might be, and I'm sure people are going to be finding that out. So let's actually try if I do this small one, if I can put more than 4 apps in here, let's see, can I, it's not going to let me drag another one on. Okay, so for like the small folder like this, you know, you can only have 4 apps in there, but if I make this like large, you know, you can fit like a whole bunch in there. So yeah, start menu folders, a nice little minor tweak, I guess, you could say, that's been added to Windows 10, but something I think a lot of people are going to like. Next, we have some Microsoft Edge improvements. So I'm just going to launch Microsoft Edge here, and you see I've got a bunch of tabs open here. For those of you who use Edge, I don't know how many people who actually use it, but you know, from the time that I have, because I used it very briefly when I first upgraded to Windows 10, I thought it was a pretty decent browser, definitely miles better than Internet Explorer, and it definitely has a lot of nice features. But this is a super nice feature that I would like to see in a lot of other browsers like Chrome and Firefox, as I don't think this is in those browsers right now. I know it isn't in Chrome because I don't have it, but this might be in a couple of different browsers. But essentially, like I've got all these tabs open here, and let's say that I want to start a new session. Usually if I'm using Chrome, what I have to do is keep all these tabs open in another window and open up a whole new Chrome window. And then if I accidentally close that window with all the tabs in it, I lose all those tabs. Well, what you can do here with Edge is there's this little button up here that says set these tabs aside, and if you click on that, it will actually get rid of all the tabs and we'll put it in this nice little thing right here on the side that has all of your 9 tabs in it, and you can see it opens up a whole new session. So these tabs have been set aside for later, so you can like basically start a whole new browser session, and you can even close out of the browser and then you can go back into it later. So let's launch Edge here. And then once it's actually back up here, you can click on this little thing on the side that says tabs you set aside, which is what we were in before. And if you want to basically resume the session that you were in, you can click on Restore Tabs, and it pops all these tabs back out. Next up, we're going to be getting into some Xbox app improvements, as well as a whole new thing for the Windows OS called Game Mode, which I think is going to be pretty cool for people who do a lot of gaming, which I myself do, and I know a lot of people who do. So let's just jump into a game. The only one we have on Windows 10 is Minecraft Windows 10 Edition, so we're going to have to use this for our demo here. But if we open up the Windows key G bar, which is going to be very annoying how this works because it wants to open the one on my host computer. But you can see it has a totally new design here. It's blue instead of gray, and it has a couple of new menus and all that. But there's a couple of new things here that I want to point out. One of them is this game mode feature right here. Now, you can choose to enable or disable this in specific games, but it is going to be enabled system-wide by default. And I think this is a pretty nice feature, as I was saying, for gamers, because it actually will basically give the game's process more priority when it's running, which will give it, like basically allocate it more system resources, which will allow it to run, a lot smoother and a lot better. So that's essentially what it attempts to do. I haven't really seen any actual tests with it yet, but I'm sure we'll see those coming out if it actually does anything. But it is in here, and I think that is a pretty nice addition. There's also this new tab up here called Broadcast. They've actually added streaming support to the Xbox Live Bar thingy, whatever it's called. And right now you can only live stream your games to Beam, which is at beam.pro. And there's also, if we close out of this, and I get my mouse cursor back because it always likes to glitch out for whatever reason. If we open up the settings application, there's this new settings category for gaming, which has the Xbox logo, and this is a whole whole new category just for Xbox and gaming settings and controls in here. One of the very welcomed features, at least for me, is the ability to turn off the game bar, which is that thing when you press a Windows key G and it opens up that bar. I personally don't use that. I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't use that would like to have the ability to turn it off. And before, I believe you could turn it off, but you had to sign in through the Xbox app. And if you did that, then it would sync all of your Microsoft account info with the Xbox app. So if you didn't want to do that, you couldn't turn off the Xbox app, I think, or the Xbox bar. I think you could, but you had to actually change out some registry keys. So They've made it very easy to access here. You can also set keyboard shortcuts here as well. If you want, like, if you do use this, you know, and you want to have like a specific shortcut for, you know, like recording something, for starting your broadcast and all that, you have those options here as well. We'll turn that back on in case I need to get to it. We also have on the side here, there's game DVR and broadcasting. This is where you can manage where your game recordings are saved to and all of the settings that go with it, and your broadcasting settings as well, which is going to say this PC doesn't support broadcasting because I've only given it 4 gigs of RAM. And then here is the game mode feature that I was talking about, where it is enabled system-wide by default. And if you want to, you can go in here and turn it off. But I assume this isn't really going to negatively impact the system in any way, because it's actually going to help you when you are actually running games, which is going to be pretty nice. So yeah, that is game mode. That is this new little settings category for gaming. Next up, we're going to get into something called picture-in-picture. I'm sure you guys all know what that is, but they've actually added that feature to the Movies and TV app in Windows 10. So if we launch this right here, this is actually my most recent video up on my channel on the Windows Vista and support. So let's say that you wanted to, watch this video in a nice little, picture-in-picture window while you're doing something else. There's this little button down at the bottom here that says play in a mini mode. And if you click on that, it moves the whole video into this nice little borderless and draggable window that will stay on top of everything else that you're doing. So if I launch Chrome here, it'll stay on top. If I try to put Chrome on top, it won't let me. So yeah, it's definitely pretty nice. And there's also this picture-in-picture feature is supported with the Skype app. I think it's only the modern UI one at this point. I don't think it is supported with the desktop one. So this could definitely be useful for video calling. So if you want to have a video call with somebody and you want to have like their view obviously on top of everything else that you're doing while you're still working on something, you can do that as well. And Microsoft is apparently also going to be opening up this API to third-party developers, which will allow them to implement this feature into their applications. So you might see like other media players in Windows 10 and other video calling applications support this feature very soon, which will be very nice. Next, we're going to get into a nice addition as well, which I feel like I said that a lot. All of these are pretty nice additions. There's not really anything negative except for that whole thing that I was talking about at the beginning. But next we're going to get into Nightlight, which can be accessed from the Action Center right here. And Nightlight is pretty much similar. It's pretty much the exact same thing as the very popular program Flux, if you've ever heard of that. I use it. A lot of people use it. It's very nice for helping you get a better night's sleep when you use your computer at night. It actually removes the blue light from your display, and that is actually proven to help you get like a better quality sleep, as when you're staring at a blue light at night, it actually makes your brain think that it's that it's daytime, and that will negatively impact your sleep. So I've seen a lot of different OS manufacturers or like I guess makers do or add something like this natively to their OS. Apple's done it, I think Google's done it, and it's nice to see Microsoft doing it in Windows 10, which obviously a lot of people use. So I think people who don't know what Flux is, and they don't like really know a lot about that whole thing, are going to find this feature. They're going to read up about it, and that's going to help them sleep better, which I think is going to be pretty nice. So yeah, that's Nightlight, and we can actually manage this whole thing in the settings. So if we go in here, we search for Nightlight, and this is where we can actually turn it on. We can go into settings. You can change what the color temperature is, and you can also set it to be on a schedule, to where if you want it to turn on at a certain time or turn off at a certain time, you can set that here. And there's also a ability to basically track it based on when the sun sets in your location, which is what Flux does as well. So that is Nightlight. Next, we're going to get into another feature within the settings app here. If we go into, I guess probably search for it here, we'll search for sign in. This is pretty nice as well. So Windows Hello, I don't know how many people use this, but because it's actually apparently not supported on a lot of devices. I think it's only really supported on like tablets and like the Microsoft Surface and all of that. But Windows Hello is a feature that will actually unlock your PC by using your face, right? So, you know, instead of having to type in like a PIN or a password, you can just walk up to your computer. When it sees your face, it will unlock. So they've added this new feature called Dynamic Lock, which is sort of like Windows Hello, except it actually will utilize a mobile device, which I assume at this point is only going to be a like Windows phone or like a Windows-based device. They might end up supporting, you know, some like Android or like, you know, iOS later on. I don't know if they will. It would be great if they do, because this is a, you know, super nice feature, because basically what it is it will tie your Windows 10 login to that device, to where you have to have that device near the computer for the computer to actually unlock. So if, you know, when that device physically gets away, you know, like gets a certain amount of distance away from the computer, it will automatically lock the computer, and when it gets back in range, it will unlock the computer. So, you know, kind of making it that you have to have a physical key sort of on you for the computer to unlock and lock itself, which is pretty nice. So that is the new dynamic lock feature, which is going to be supported in the Windows 10 Creators Update. And for the very last thing, let's just get into some very minor settings app improvements here. So the first one that I want to briefly talk about is under Updates and Security. There is this new tab specifically for troubleshooters. And they've kind of done this to combine a lot of the troubleshooters which you could use for, you know, troubleshooting different problems on your system. They've kind of combined it all into this nice little menu, to where if you're having any sort of problem, you can just come in here, find whatever troubleshooter applies to your problem, and you can run it instead of having to, you know, like kind of dig through the whole settings app to find it. They've made it very nice in here, and you can see we've got all these different troubleshooters right here. And the very last feature that I'm going to talk about, which is not really a feature but more of like a nice little, I guess, tweak. If we go over to the privacy setting, or the privacy category, they've kind of revamped this a little bit to kind of give you a little bit more information about what all the settings do. And there's also on the side here all these things like kind of saying know what your privacy options are, learn more, get help, give us feedback, all of that. One of the things that I do like is under feedback and diagnostics, they've made this a little bit more specific about what basic diagnostics and what full diagnostic actually is. As before, it would say like select how much data that you want to send to Microsoft, and there'd be like a little drop down menu that would let you choose between basic and full, and it wouldn't specify what that actually is. Like, okay, you know, like what data is in the basic and what data is in the full. It still doesn't really like go into that much detail. I mean, basic just says send the data that's necessary, and full says send the data that's necessary and other stuff that isn't necessary. It doesn't really go into like that much in depth, but it's still, you know, makes it a little bit easier for, like, I guess people that don't really know a lot about this stuff. Of course, all of this privacy stuff is on by default, which is very annoying. So you're gonna have to go through and turn all that off if you don't want it, which I don't want it. And I do believe also that when you update to the Windows 10 Creators Update, it does actually reset all your privacy settings. So you might want to, you know, just double check those when you go through the update to make sure that all this stuff is turned off, because you probably don't want that stuff on if you had it turned off in, you know, your previous installation of Windows 10. So that is about it for the brand new Windows 10 Creators Update. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If this helped you in any way, definitely sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the near future. And definitely, you know, be sure to let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of this update. You know, do you like it? Do you not like it? Are you planning on getting it? You know, if you're planning on being one of the first adopters, or if you're going to, like, you know, basically wait out until Microsoft, I guess, forces it upon you. So, but, you know, yeah, guys, just again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.